Hi there everyone and welcome. I'm Zan from Felon Fair and we're starting a new series that we're going to have right here on our YouTube channel, and our goal is to give you some helpful tips and tricks when it comes to designing especially medieval and fantasy costumes. So this will range for anybody from who are costume designers, or if you're a LARPer, a cosplayer, or just enjoy learning about this sort of stuff. We want to provide some good, useful information. It's going to be a very simple format. But we're going to hopefully give you guys some clear information about how to go about designing these. And then as our series goes on, we're actually going to get into more detail when it comes to specific things like different types of armor, clothing, gear, and then where you can access those. We understand that people are coming from a lot of different backgrounds. Some people are looking to make stuff from scratch. Others are just looking for a good place to buy stuff so that they can spend their time and energy in other areas. Anyway, welcome. If you like this and you like the idea of this, please go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Not only will you get more videos like this, but you will also get to see our things like our films and our short films and TV series and that sort of stuff that we put up on YouTube. You can also follow us on Instagram at FelonFair. We really appreciate that, especially if you like and comment. And as we're going through this series, please do comment and tell us what videos you want to see, what sort of information you want to hear. We've been doing this for a long time. We've got a lot of resources that we have access to, and we want to share them with you guys. Anyway, welcome. Okay, so for our first video, what we wanted to do is give you a very just general overview when it comes to thinking about designing a medieval costume. Now, what we're talking about here, just a little disclaimer, we're not talking about a specific historic costume. So if you want to go make a 8th century Viking outfit, then go do your research. There's plenty of resources out there. And this may really help you in some ways as you're thinking about processing and the system you're going to go through that. But please don't take any of these videos as advice for a specific period or anything like that, or a specific cosplay. This is more general tips and tricks, resources where you can find different things. Some things like where to get good chainmail will be very helpful. For example, if you wanted to make a Viking outfit of a certain period. But if you're looking to do something else, then maybe it's a different video that you'll find more helpful. Anyway, just wanted to put that out there. Also, this is just our opinion. Especially when it comes to historical stuff, there's a lot of different opinions, a lot of different thought. If we discuss something that's maybe there's some debate in the academic community about, we'll kind of tell you that and kind of tell you why we've landed on what side we've landed on. But the reality is when we're studying some of this stuff, there's some stuff that we know pretty well and we have some pretty accurate descriptions on and evidence of, but there's a lot of things that really is an educated guess. And there's kind of two ways to study medieval history and then as it applies to fantasy costuming and that sort of stuff. And one is to have a very deep understanding in a very narrow subject. So, if you're an expert on 9th century Vikings or 13th century chivalry, great. You can know all about that. You may know more than anybody else in the world about that one subject. On the other hand, you can do, and this is kind of my approach to it, you can be generally familiar with a wide range of topics. So, everything from ancient times up to modern history. If you understand where the context, where everybody fits and where the pieces fit, a lot of times you don't have to know real specifics, or you don't have to know the name of a certain find and the item number that was found where in Norway or something like that. If you understand the general context, if you understand the resources people had access to, the general styles, etc., then you're actually going to be able to make a pretty good educated guess, and you're going to be able to create costumes that look pretty convincing. Now, when it comes to designing a convincing medieval or fantasy costume, there's going to be a couple things that you're going to want to do. First of all, you've got to start with a plan or a goal. Don't just skip over this because maybe you don't have the resources right now or something like that, or maybe you're not a good artist, something like that. And I always start out with sketching out something. I'm not a great sketcher, I'm not a great drawer, but at least I can get kind of all the pieces and I can figure out, oh, this he looks like he needs some more layers here, or he could use some armor there. Just drawing it, sketching it out really helps. And don't be afraid to kind of, to mess around with that. Another great way to do that is resources like Pinterest and other, things throughout the internet where you can actually, one of my favorite things to do is just pull up a bunch of different tabs on my browser, and then I can kind of cycle through everything, and I know all the pictures. You can also save photos on Instagram. You can save Felon Fair's photos on Instagram if you need inspiration. That's another great way to do it. But kind of collect your ideas, collect your designs so you know what you're going in. Now, there are times when I've kind of worked backwards on this. I've gotten a cool helmet or something like that, and then I design an outfit around that. So sometimes it starts that way. But however you go about it, make sure you have a plan. Make sure you have a design. That'll keep you from a lot of the traps that a lot of people fall into when it comes to costuming. One thing that I see a lot of times is somebody will say, wow, this is a really cool helmet. I'm going to buy that. And then they're at they're online surfing a couple days later, like, wow, this is a really cool breastplate. I'm going to buy it. This is a really cool sword. This is a really cool tunic. And they get all this stuff, and each thing is cool in its own right. However, the problem that a lot of people run into is then they try to create an outfit out of it. They combine it all together. And you've got a Viking helmet and a knight breastplate and a Roman tunic, and it just looks, even if each item is cool, somebody else looking at it, whether it's at a film or a LARP event or something like that, they're going to say, there's something off with this. I'm no historical expert, but I feel like these two things don't go together. So finding consistency, and that's the great thing about fantasy stuff, is you're not tied to a specific time period, a specific anything like that. So once you kind of have an understanding of where everything fits and what looks good together, then you can start mixing and matching. We've had a lot of fun doing that sort of stuff with our events like Weekend Warrior. It's really fun to kind of create some unique designs and kind of kit bash some different ideas. But you need to have that's why I love that broad understanding of what things kind of work. Things that are made with similar materials or similar technological resources at similar time periods a lot of times go together better than things that have a broad expanse of history between them. So the second thing that you're going to need to remember is function equals believability. That's something we're constantly trying to remind people at Felon Fair. If you create a costume that functions properly, people are going to believe it. Now, especially for those of you who are costume designers for films and stage and that sort of stuff, here's a great example. If you are creating an outfit for a knight, and it may be beautiful, the craftsmanship may be gorgeous, you may have purchased the best things from the best stores and you spent all this money, but if the actor cannot functionally fight in that, if he's constantly slipping or tripping or is wearing a helmet that he can't see out of, then he or she is not going to be a believable knight or believable warrior. So you would be far better off getting a different outfit, a less expensive, more simple outfit. But if your actor can fight really well and look convincing in it, you're going to be better off, and your viewers, the people, your fans, are going to appreciate that more. Same thing for LARP, cosplay. If you are going to be doing something for cosplay, you're going to be wearing this around for 12 hours at a time at a convention. Don't make everything out of steel. Don't buy a bunch of steel armor because you're going to be exhausted. And by the end of it, you're just going to be miserable. And then, once again, for LARP or something like that, if you have this crazy cool fantasy design that you've come up with, but it doesn't look like you could wear it, like it doesn't look like you could actually fight in that, then people are going to look at it and say, well, that looks ridiculous. I can point you to some great examples, movies like The Lord of the Rings, shows like Game of Thrones, that do a great job designing really practical arms and armor for their people. There's some fantasy twists in there, and they've done a good job of mixing some different periods and stuff together. But all the stuff, if you look at it, it looks like, oh yeah, somebody could walk out the door and go fight a battle in that. So keep that in mind, that function equals believability. So if you want a believable outfit, it's got to be one that functions properly. All right, the last thing that you're going to need to go into this design process is choosing your actual pieces. So you've come up with a concept, you've come up with a design. How do I find things that now look like that? This is where a lot of our videos are going to come in handy. We're going to create a whole series on things like armor and clothing and boots and gloves and all that sort of stuff. So keep that stuff in mind. You can check back from time to time, or you can subscribe, get notifications about our new videos that are coming out. But choosing your pieces is really important. One, because if you choose the right pieces right off the bat, even if you can't purchase them all immediately, if you choose those pieces and you have a game plan because you design and you have your goal, then you're able to, a lot of times, save a lot of money, save a lot of trouble. And then you can also, like I said, this is where I love the whole tabs in your browsers or shopping carts menu, where you have the 4 different companies you're buying gear from, and you have filled out shopping carts in each one. And, you know, a lot of times I'll do 2 or 3 different versions. I'll say, hey, I want to build this outfit. So I'm going to go to Fell and Fair and Epic Armory and wherever I'm going to, whatever websites I'm going to, I'm going to fill up my shopping carts with version A. And then I'm like, okay, so that's version A. Now, version B, I could also accomplish this by going to Amazon and going to eBay, and let's fill this out here. And then if I made this and I made that. And so if you come up with those plans, then you can look and compare and say, well, I like how the torso turned out here, but I like the helmet set up here, so can we combine those? Yes, okay, this is how much it'll cost, that sort of stuff. So that's a great system. Other people have, I'm sure, have more sophisticated system. That is one that works well for me. So just keep that in mind. Choose your pieces and know where you're going with them. A couple, as you're trying to, fill out that outfit, hit that design, some of the things that are going to be really important is your color palette. Don't just grab any random colors and kind of throw them all together, unless you're going for absolute chaos, which may be what you're going for. But color palettes are really, really important. Sometimes you can't always see every item in every color on every website. But things like, for example, if you go to the Fell and Fair Etsy store, we usually have items in 1 or 2 colors, but we have these like color palette cards that are in the pictures, and you can see all the color options right there. So you can either, like, I love screenshotting and then using one of those apps that actually combines all the color, or combines a bunch of different pictures like PicStitch and that sort of stuff. So I can get all 12 colors that are going to be in the outfit and put them in this little card. And then I can look at that and say, does this look like it blends? Well, the tan and the blue and the gray and the off-white go together, but this yellow is just off. It's too bright. Can I get a more subdued yellow, or do I need to go with a brown? That sort of stuff is a great tool to really figure out your color palette, figure out your color scheme, so you know what you're going to be working with. Another great thing that's going to help you is layers. Layers add dimension. It also goes back to our believability thing. In real life, when it's getting to spring and summer here, so you'll see people walking around with flip-flops and t-shirts and that sort of stuff. But for example, somebody who is going downtown in the winter, they're probably wearing a suit, maybe a 3-piece suit with a tie. They've got a scarf, they've got a hat, they've got gloves, they've got a coat. And medieval outfits work in the same way. If it's a peasant working in the field in the summer, maybe he just has a tunic and a belt and pants on. Although, historical note, a lot of times when people got hot working in the fields, we would take our shirts off. They took their pants off, so you had a bunch of pantsless peasants walking around in the field. That was awkward, I'm sure. Glad that doesn't happen anymore. Anyway, if you're going for that, then that's great. But if you're going for somebody who is going to be in the winter and they're going into a meeting at the mead hall, then maybe they've got more layers on. They've got a tunic, but then they've got a shirt and a jacket, maybe a little piece of armor and a scarf and a hat or a hood, a cloak on. All those layers really help bring in believability, because the viewer, even if they don't know about medieval costume, is seeing, okay, this person looks like they're geared up for real life. Another really important key when you're kind of choosing your pieces is materials. We're going to do a whole video on materials. But getting natural, especially natural materials that would have been available to the time period that you're trying to portray, is really, really important. That's why I love things like wool, linen, rough or uncombed cotton, and then real leather. Now, if you're a vegan and you don't want to do the whole real leather thing, then there's better pleather options on the market these days. But a lot of times, too, you can take things that would normally have been made out of leather, and you can find them in cloth, or you can make them out of cloth, that sort of stuff. So just, learn how to substitute, and many times it may be better to have something, say a vest, instead of having that made out of pleather, just have it made out of cloth, instead of, if you don't want to do the real leather thing. Just things to think about. And then the last thing to think about, and this once again kind of goes back to our function thing, is what are you using this for? Are you using this for LARP, for fun, for film, for cosplay, etc.? So if you have that in mind, then when you're choosing armor, say you have identical looking, and it's not going to be that way, but let's say identical priced coats of chainmail. One is steel, one is aluminum. If this is an actor in a stage play where the nearest person is going to be 30 feet away, let them wear aluminum. If you're going to be a reenactor and you're going to be getting a close-up shot and people are going to be coming up and touching and feeling, maybe you need steel. So just know what the function is of each item, and that'll help you kind of inform your decisions as well. Well, folks, once again, to kind of recap, remember to design, have a goal, know what you're going for. Remember that function equals believability, and then choose your pieces wisely. Once again, please like, comment, subscribe to this channel. We're going to have a bunch of videos coming out. We hope this was helpful. Please, if you want to see something, please do comment it. And if we kind of go on volume of comments, so just because somebody else said that they wanted to see something that you wanted to see, don't not comment on it, because if 12 people comment, we're more likely to get you that video faster than if it's just one person or something like that. Anyway, thank you guys so much. I hope this helps a lot, and good luck out there.